Through j2code, we also have a selection of applications that are available through J2E to support coding in the curriculum. So if we look at, we've got JIT, visual, logo, and microbit. And similar to the J2 data, we also have lesson plans, this time broken up into year 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6, where you can find some ideas on how to make use of these tools or applications in the classroom. We also have the ability to import from Scratch. So Scratch is an online coding platform, and once pupils have created accounts, they are able to import their creations from Scratch back into their J2 My Files. So starting off with the JIT program, we have some templates that can be used, and it's for younger learners, where we could have the flowers. And what we need to then do is to code the butterfly to fly and land at each of those flowers on the screen. So initially we can start off with our simple coding, where they can move as we're coding. We then get our algorithm being produced, and we may then want it to turn. And again, learners can understand that as they're giving it instructions, we can then create our algorithm for the butterfly to follow. If we move into the advanced settings, what happens then is that as we code, we can see the algorithm being created. And then what we're able to do is to play that code and see whether or not we've got our butterfly to correctly move from one flower to the other. It also allows learners then to debug and change their code, so they can simply delete it or move things around. They're also able to add other sprites to their coding. So where we've got the butterfly, we may want a dog chasing that butterfly. So we can select the dog, and then we can code the dog as well. And again, we have those simple and advanced tools for the coding. So it's a great way to introduce the coding to younger learners. Moving on next to the j2code visual. And again, we have our sprite that we're coding. We have different levels here on the in the middle of our screen, where we can choose the level of coding that we want to start working with. And you can see that the more advanced the level, the more options we have that we can code with our sprite. So initially we can have our penguin move. We may want it to move forward by 100. We can also have it turn. And then we can work with the number of degrees that we want it to turn right by. And then we can also, where we've got the drop-down menus, we can change the options there. We can also change the sprite. So if I select the penguin here, we can change the sprite by adding in a different picture. We can change their direction. So initially, where we have it moving forward, this penguin will move down. If we change that here, we can have it moving over to the right-hand side. We can make it smaller, and we can make it larger. So there's lots of options with our sprites where we can edit them, and we can also have add in other sprites as well. So if we wanted to, we can add in a second penguin, and then we can have that penguin move again forward, and we can also then have our penguins communicate with each other. They can move and say hello to each other. We can have them have a conversation, making sure that as we're getting the penguins to have that conversation, we can also ask them to wait while we wait for the other penguin to say what we've programmed them to say. We also have the option then within the sprites as well, where we select our sprite. We've got lots of different sprites that we can choose from, and it can be on different themes. And we also have the ability to select the background as well. So we can select for our penguins, we can select the iceberg there, and we can have our penguins meeting on the iceberg, so that when we press play, they will move, rotate, and we can try and get them to have that conversation. Once we finish that, we can save it and then get a link for our creation as a QR code, or simply as a link to be able to use for other pieces of work. We then also have logo in j2code. And again, we have 3 different levels of coding where we're moving our cursor or our arrow around on the screen. So this can be used for learners to understand the properties of shape, where they're creating different patterns using different colors. As we move forward through the levels, we then see that we've got the written coding and gaining an understanding of how the written code can affect what's going to happen with our sprites. And then the third level is making use of shortened code so that we can get our coding written a little bit more quickly, so that then our learners have an understanding of how coding can be used to create different things. And then finally, hopefully all primary schools now have got a selection of, or a set of, the free microbits. But this is a digital microbit where we're able to use the coding to have our microbits show different pins or light setups depending on what we're asking them to do. Within the microbit section of this website, there are lots of different activities that can be found where you can have the physical microbit to code, or you can make use of this microbit visual for learners to get a good understanding of how they can then use the coding within the microbit and then transfer it into making it with the microbit in its physical form.